Welcome to the Garden Show. I'm Peggy Ballister Howells, and we're here at Tiny Farm to do the garden show, and we'll be here until 11 o'clock. And I admit that I am slightly discombobulated at the moment because a minute and a half ago, my daughter arrived, and chaos ensued. And so instead of my minute or two of being zen, very calm before we go on the air, it was dogs barking, people coming, kisses, hugs, all that sort of stuff. And here we have a late arrival who was busy saying hello to my daughter. Here we have little Kusa Dogwood, who's doing just fine, who has the biggest ears of any dog I've ever seen. But look at that face. He has such a good face. And he's here to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And on Wednesday, we had book club. And once again, I made latkes in celebration of Hanukkah. So, I did break some rules. I served them with bacon. I know that's not kosher, but it was a mixing of the cultures, a blending of the best of many worlds. So that was fun. We did have a grand time. So today, my daughter has requested Mrs. Fields chocolate chip cookies, and then the grandma's butter cookies that you press down on, and then you put the jelly or the nuts or the chocolate chips in the center. So all of that's good. So looking forward to doing that for this afternoon. So the weather's been interesting. There has been ice in the wheelbarrow, but it was also pretty toasty warm the last couple of days. Wet, but warm. So, I'll take it. The magnificent camellias out front, or the one is just covered in flowers. I'll show you a picture of that shortly. So I should remind everybody to please hit the like and subscribe button. We're up to 113 subscribers, which, a couple more every week is good. And to go to the website, which I admit there's not any new information on for a while, but you can go there and send me questions or pictures. That's a good way. Those of you who have my cell phone number can also send me pictures. I don't know what happened to Chris from Scotch Plains. He was going to try to send me pictures of his straw bales that he had mushrooms growing out of. I was so excited, but somehow we didn't get them. So if there's a problem, we need to communicate about that, and we can figure out a way to get me those pictures. So, and the phone number, if you want to call here, is 888-399-PEGI, P-E-G-I, or 7344. That's 888-399-7344. So, we're putting up Christmas lights today also, right? I mean, isn't that the other? Tommy's we're baking. Probably good to keep him out of the house because he'd come in and eat everything. He'd eat the dough and he'd lick the bowl and he'd eat them, and they're still warm and crumbly out of the oven. So we'll put him outside doing Christmas lights for a little bit. So let's do This Week at Tiny Farm, okay? While we're waiting for people to give us a call. Again, that number is 888-399-7344. I've been showing you this plant in various stages. This is how it looks this week. This is the orange poinsettia. Although I have to admit, it seems a bit pinker this year than it was originally, but it's so beautiful. It's near perfect. And I have gotten poinsettias to rebloom at other times for sure, but not perfect like this. This one is really perfect. So, and I did nothing to it. It just lived in that spot in the greenhouse. I did cut it way back in the spring because it got, ugly and dropped all its leaves, but kept my fingers crossed that it would come back, and this is what it did. So I'm thrilled. Next. Okay, this is a little Haworthia. And it's, no, I'm sorry. This is a little aloe, and it's called Snowstorm. And it's really interesting looking, and I really love it. And if you look at the picture on the left, oh, I'm covering it. Can you get rid of me for a minute, please? Okay. Wait, where am I? Okay. So the picture on the left, you can see the whole plant and the flower stalk coming out of the center. And it's really an interesting little plant. And if you look at the right, you can see that that's the little flower stalk. And I don't know what triggers it into bloom exactly. I'm assuming change in day length, or it might just be cyclical. I don't know, but it's making these cute little flowers in the greenhouse now. And you can see it has all those little pups. It probably needs to be divided. It's got a couple dead leaves on it, but I don't want to mess with it while it's in bloom. So, but it is a pretty little, a little aloe. There are so many kinds of aloe, so many different kinds that generally people are not familiar with. This is a succulent. I never got a name for it. I've been able to reproduce it, but it's also coming into bloom. That's one of those plants where if a leaf falls off, you can just lay it on the soil. You can see those are not, the little plants on this are not pups from the main plant. They're leaves that had started to regenerate that had fallen into the pot. But I happen to, I think it's a crassula, but I'm not 100% sure. The mandevilla vine is still being very cooperative and is still putting out a fair number of flowers on a regular basis, which is lovely. I always appreciate the color. By spring, they usually look pretty scrawny. Last year, it looked very scrawny. Not entirely sure why. Last year, it was so bad. And it took a long time to bloom in the garden when we put it out. But look at it now. So it's making up for lost time, and it just makes me happy to look at it. And this is the camellia outside. This picture was taken this week. So this is very current. And it's magnificent. It's just covered in hot pink flowers, and which is nice because we see it every time we pull in and every time we leave, and we can see it out the living room window. And it's just, it's kind of gorgeous in December. That is the hibiscus that I have, two hibiscus plants that live on the front steps of the Ocean Grove house in the summer. And then, of course, we moved them into the greenhouse in the winter. And it has also been gracing us with the occasional flower. I just love the center of this. It's so interesting looking. Of course, the yellow ones are the anthers, and they're making the pollen. I've never seen seeds on this thing, but it's just so cute. Okay, next. All right, this is a really weird plant. This is called a pregnant onion, and this is the flower of the pregnant onion, and it blooms this time every year, and it blooms prolifically. And one of the things that's very cool about this plant is that the flowers last and last and last. They continue to elongate where the actual head, the flowering head of the plant can get to be 18 inches long, maybe even 2 feet long. And it just lasts and lasts and lasts. So that's just the beginning of it. And that's the botanical name, Ornithogulum caudatum. And it is, the common name is pregnant onion. When Jordan saw this, she got all excited. She really wanted one. So of course, you know, I was able to propagate it quite easily and give her one. But it's a nice bright green. It needs some sun. It's not particularly fussy. And it's a little bit weird. It's not your everyday common plant. I will try to propagate this come spring to have some more of these to give away at the plant exchange. And this is why it's called pregnant onion. You can see it has like that oniony paper, and you can peel that off, but the babies, the pups, actually form attached to the bulb underneath the papery layers. And then you can pull them out. You can see the new, on that one, you can see the little green shoot sort of emerging slightly from the tip. But every single one of these can start another plant. And that's actually why the pot is so full, because it's self-generated and the pot is full. I take these out and start them up on occasion. It's really pretty easy. You don't have, in order to propagate it, you don't have to take it out of the pot. You don't have to divide it. You don't have to worry about making seed. You just take these little babies and sort of put them in a pot and away you go. But this is another cool aspect. See where the arrows are, there's actually 4 flowering stalks that are about to bloom. And of course, I will follow up and show you pictures of what it looks like when it's blooming later on. But I think 4 at the same time may be the most I've ever had. I think I may have had 4 once before, but I've never had more than 4. But getting 4 all at the same time is pretty exciting. And it's just a weird, fun plant that does its best to stay interesting. Is that the last one? That's the last one. Okay. So let me give the phone number again. It's 888-399-7344. That's 888-399-7344. I've had a couple of text exchanges with Nancy from Somerset, so I'm hoping that she's joining us this morning, and I'm hoping that I'll get to see her. Possibly we can meet over at Jack's when we go over to get our Christmas tree, which would very likely be next Sunday, right? I mean, that seems like the best time to go do that, because Saturday we're going to a Christmas party, and I promised to bring a cherry cheesecake and an apple crumble. So that's going to keep me busy. But Sunday would be great. Sunday would be the 17th, close enough to Christmas to put the tree up and not have it be in the house too long. And Tommy's going to move the purple tree to the front porch, which I have to admit is beginning to show its age at this point. It's not as magnificent as it was. But when we had, what was it? How many inches of rain in a week? Like 23 inches of rain in a week, and it got blown over multiple times. It took a hit that week, but it's still worthy. It's going to be my purple Charlie Brown Christmas tree. We will decorate it on the porch. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun. But we'll go get our new tree from Jack next Sunday. So anybody who's listening and wants to get over to Jack's and pick out a tree, we'll be there Sunday, probably mid-afternoon or early afternoon after the show, of course. So we're looking forward to that. All right. So let's go to the phones. Who do we have? Oh, it's Anne-Marie. Oh, yay. Good morning, Anne-Marie. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What's up?
Oh, it's Anne-Marie. Well, I hope everybody's getting ready for Christmas, and I hear you talking about your tree.
Yes.
And I was in the backyard, and my pussy willow has pussies out at the tips at about a 20-foot level up.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, all things considered.
Okay.
It's not necessarily great, but there's been a lot of things that have been misbehaving because of the very warm weather. And that's just one more to add to the list, the pussy willow now, because we've had hydrangea.
That's right. That's why I called, so you could add it to the list.
That one to the list.
Anomalies for this season.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole bunch of them.
The other day when I saw the brown caps, I was like, don't even tell me. And I just went out and looked, and sure enough, they're gray today.
Well, maybe cut a few and use them as Christmas decorations. That would be different.
I can't even reach them. That really only, that's one of the things that's getting the extreme chop down come the spring, because it's so high. It's those big long spires, but it only gets them maybe the last 1.5 feet, 2 feet. And they're up so high that I have to cut them off at ground level in order to even start to find them. But I just thought you'd like to know you have one more thing on your
appreciate that. And if you really want to be drastic, you can cut the whole thing down in the spring or late winter. Just cut the whole thing down, and all the new shoots will come up close to the ground and be long and straight. That's
okay. Well, that'll be the March project.
So yeah, that's how that's done, is to cut the whole thing down, because a pussy willow, if not pruned like that every so often, will turn into a small tree, a real tree, not a bush, a tree. So if you want it to be bush-like, then, cut it down, and then that'll solve a number of problems. Of course, once you cut it down, if you wait until it's just starting to fuzz up, then you can cut off all the branches and use them. maybe even start some new ones. But you definitely want to do it before the new growth comes out, because you want the new growth to be the shoots coming up from the roots. So you want to be walking a fine line.
The base of it is 2 trunks. I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches in diameter, and then everything's coming off of that.
Right.
And one year I just didn't cut it enough, and it went crazy, and I let it go. So now I'm sorry.
Well, just get out your reciprocating saw and have at it, and you'll be done, and then you'll get a new one.
There you go.
Yeah, and then
Okay, well, I will see if I can pull some branches down enough to clip them now and bring them in. I still have my dry ones from last year, and I did leave them in between a large old vase we have from Art's grandfather, and I put my artificial poinsettias in that. But it's very cool with the pussy willows in between. So
well, you have fun with that, and everybody needs to walk around their yard. It's, I'm glad that you brought this up. You need to walk around your yard and see what's happening, because stuff is happening. All kinds of stuff is happening. Some regular stuff is happening that you want to pay attention to, but other stuff is happening too. And it's like going on an exploration trip, to see what's happening, because you just don't know.
I want to back up to your poinsettia. My 2 white ones are turning white, but they're not nearly as well distributed as your peachy orange one. But the red one is doing nothing. They are all together in the same spot, and the red one is not giving me a different shade of dark green. That's it.
Well, you know how it is, Anne-Marie. How many kids do you have?
4.
4. And are they all the same?
Absolutely not. But
there you
they
go.
all have some things that are absolutely the same, and it's laughable. And then there's the other side of every one of them. So.
Right. Well, think of that when you're looking at your poinsettias, and it's exactly the same. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll have a conversation with them. I usually do have a conversation with my children.
So, well, you go do that and tell them I said Merry Christmas, both the human ones and the poinsettia ones. Okay.
Okay, we can do that. Have a great day.
Okay.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, so that was fun. Do we have any more callers? No. Okay, let me give the phone number again. It's 888-399-7344. Actually, Anne-Marie should have told the story about the snake plant. You should call back. I could tell it now, but if you feel like calling back, you can tell the story, because it had such a nice, happy ending, and it's really your story, not mine. So if you feel like calling back, we can do that. In the meantime, the phone number, 888-399-7344. But we can do the knees needs. Let's do that one. This one is in honor of my dear friend, Danny from Metuchen. She suggested knee pads as a Christmas present, and that she has them, and she loves the aspect of them that you can wear them and not have to carry around a knee pad, a kneeling pad. So it's with you, one less thing to have to lug around. And she thinks that they're great. And that's anything that works for you is a terrific thing. So I investigated the world of knee pads, and these actually got me really mad. They got me so mad. I was just like, you've got to be kidding. Do you really read what it says at the top? Women knee pads for cleaning house floors. That's the first thing that it says. It is so sexist. I was infuriated. But in addition, they look fairly comfortable. I mean, I was, how dare they? I'm so insulted about this. This is just really, really, really rude. All right, let's go back to let's put this on hold while everybody can fume about the sexist application of these, while we go back and Anne-Marie called back, because I really wanted her to tell the story of the snake plant. So Anne-Marie, are you with us?
I am with you.
Okay, so
how far do you want this story to go back to? The original owner of the plant?
Yes, because that's how it ends. The beginning is also the end. So
this is a story about people who will not give up plants no matter how dire they get to look. They will get revived. So my beloved sister-in-law, who passed away 4 years ago, one of the very last plants she had my brother go shopping for was a snake plant. It was just straight up in the air. he took her and she had to touch every single one, maybe 20 or 30 plants to find the one she loved the best. So he had this all these years, and he decided to repot it, which was a bad idea because he knows about as much about plants as I know about welding. And so Peggy rescued this plant, which I took to her, which she kind of looked like, who did this? But
it was, this poor thing had no hope of standing up. It was a completely flopping mess.
So the nurse, Peggy, nursed this plant to beauty and had it in her greenhouse, at which point she had a lovely tablecloth or whatever on her little table, which made it look like it belonged there. I tried to get her to keep it. She insisted that I return it to my brother. Well, my brother didn't want it back because this would mean he'd have to worry about it. So he took it begrudgingly and he put it out on his deck. He lives down along the water in Neptune. And the plant went crazy. It was more beautiful than when I gave it to him. And when he had to bring it in, he said, you have to take this home. Now it's really too big. I don't have a table big enough to give this justice. So I brought it home and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. Well, a very dear friend of my deceased sister-in-law, I happened to see her and I said, would you want a plant that belonged to Diane? She said, I would love it. So now this poor unloved plant at Christmas has a brand new home and sits on a lovely table in a bay window of her living room. So not all plants are meant to go to the compost heap, I guess.
No, that's a great story because your brother got it back. And even though he's not a plant person, he managed to take good enough care of it that it continued to thrive. And now it's become a memory for her best friend or one of her closest friends. So I think that's a living memorial. And I think that's a perfect way for that plant to have ended up.
As Peggy says, when you make those cuttings and you don't have enough room for them, you need to find them and give them to a friend.
Absolutely.
Or make your brother look at them at least and let him give them back to you.
Well, he did admit that, I mean, unless I'm misremembering, that he was pleased with how it looked when it came back. He is a little cranky. I've met him. He's a little cranky.
It started out as a straight up plant. Now we're talking about something that's, I don't know, almost 2 feet in diameter. The way there's more than one kind of snake plant in there.
Yeah, and it came out really beautiful.
It's almost like a flower that had opened.
Yeah,
but it's not flowering, obviously. But
well, it may. They do make flowers, so. And when
and I'm hoping that Nancy gets a flower because she deserves it.
Well, there you go. All right. So I'm so happy it ended up with Nancy. That's great. Please tell her that I give her my best wishes for they can live forever. If, properly taken care of, they can live forever. So tell her I'm so glad that that's where it ended up. All right. Thanks for calling back because that was a cute story.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for caring.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Rejuvenating this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So back to these horrible knee pads that are they look kind of wonderful, but their marketing really needs to be improved. So let's go on to the next slide, please. All right. These on the left, they're actually scary looking. I didn't even bother putting any information about them. They look painful, where they would be right in where your knee bends, and there's some sort of gel thing. I found them and they were different, so I wanted to show them. And maybe the gel thing is good on your knees. Maybe that's soft on your knees, but that strap across the back just looks like you'd be miserable. I don't know who thought of that design, but I wouldn't even try them on myself. But the ones on the right, they look kind of interesting because they're all stretchy. And you can wear them bare-legged. So in the summer, you put those on bare legs when you're wearing shorts and the straps don't cut into your skin. I thought these looked reasonable. And they're available at Home Depot. I don't know if you can get them in the store if you have to order them, but they're not too expensive. They're like $20 and you can put them over pants. I would think if you wore them often over pants that they might be too loose in the summer, because you'd get them all stretched out to wear them bare-legged. And when you're bare-legged, in my opinion, is when you need something like this the most. Who wants to kneel bare-legged down on rocks and on the ground and on concrete? So I thought these were very interesting. Maybe if you're really concerned, you can have two pairs, one for the summer and one on top of your jeans or your work pants at other times of the year. But it's when you're bare-legged that you need the most protection, and these would work. Okay, next. I don't know how effective these are, but they look like fun. And again, we're covering the price, but these were actually not from a work site. They were from a blade site is what they were called. And it was, and what was that? Yeah, for roller skating or skateboarding, or I don't know what else, those wheelie things that people are wearing now or riding now. But it seems to me like they would do the trick, and they look they look like fun. And when I love the coordinating socks, I don't know if you could actually get them, but I think they're very cute. And a little bit more money, but a little bit more fun. And again, these are stretchy, so best for bare legs, I would think. All right, now here's where things get really interesting. These are pants that have pockets by the knees so that you can slip the pads in. And I thought that was exceedingly interesting. If you need to wear pants, I don't mind the stretchy pull-on ones in the summer. And obviously these wouldn't work if you want to be bare-legged in the summer. But this is like no straps around of any kind, nothing around the back of your legs. And you just put these in the pocket. And then if you don't want to be using them, you can wear the pants as work pants without them. So, multiple applications here. I thought they were really cool. Now, they came from this company, thriveworkwear.com. And I've found them in other places. The pants are $74. They come in multiple colors. The knee pads are sold separately. Let's go to the next slide. The knee pads are $15, and they're called Squish knee pad inserts. I even like the name Squish. Very useful. Let's go to the next page, please. Until we get to this problem. This, again, I was totally infuriated. This whole knee pad thing got me mad on more than one occasion. These are overalls designed for women, and they have the pockets for knee pads. Obviously, I found these at Duluth. This was the only ones I could find for women. There were dozens of kinds of these for men to put the knee pads in. Only this overall. Now, I'm not a big overall fan. I mean, they're not too bad in the spring. They're too hot in the summer. And in the winter, if you're wearing them and you're working outside and they're under your coat, having to go pee can become a nightmare. So I'm not a big overall fan to work outside. Maybe some people are. So I would not buy these. Plus, they're $100 for a pair of these, and I think that's excessive for work clothes. But it's not the money that bothers me here. If I really, really wanted them and I thought they were really, really perfect, I would pay $100 for them. You pay $100 for perfection. But no regular pants. I couldn't find them. I mean, maybe they exist, and maybe I didn't find them. And I found one that had like double layers on the knees, but it didn't say anything about accepting inserts. So now I'm really mad. The pink ones are for housework, and there's none with the pockets that I think were the coolest idea available for women. So is there another slide, or is that the last slide? Oh, yes. So we will get to what I did about this, because I could not let it lie. But let's go to the next slide. So I found this thing, which is at bladesdirect.net. I don't know. That sounds like a rollerblading place also, Blades Direct. I don't know. This was the only thing that I found. And I thought this was really interesting. I don't know how comfortable it is to wear around, but it attaches to your knee and your ankle, and you kneel on it, and it gives you a little seat for your butt. And you can wear two of them, or you can wear just one of them. And I thought it was kind of ingenious. Before I would say if it was wonderful or not, I would have to try it. And I'm not in the mood to spend $89 for one of these things at the moment, but it might be really useful. It might be the coolest thing I found yet, but I don't know. This was definitely dependent on how it actually feels on you, but it looked like it was kind of worth investigating. And again, this is at Blades Direct, and it's called Knee Seat. So you never know what you're going to find when you start digging around on the internet. Let's go to the next slide. All right, these come in all kinds of various manufacturers and little tiny, variations on the theme. This one is from a company called Super Brand Tools, and this one is $90, but on sale from $184. I'm not quite sure why this one is so much money. It does fold down. And again, it's one of those that you can use as a seat or use as a kneeler, either way. Again, it is a good way to protect your knees. Next. So this one is from Garrett Wade. It looks pretty much the same. I don't know what the great difference is, except that this one's $50. So that's significantly different. And Garrett Wade's tools, we've shown a variety of Garrett Wade tools since we started the YouTube show. And they're all quality. Garrett Wade makes quality tools. There's no doubt about it. So I think if it were my inclination and I wanted one of these, I would prefer a Garrett Wade one for $50 than the other one for $90. But everyone to their own. Next. Okay, and this one is from Lowe's, and it looks slightly less complex, less moving parts. I don't even know if this one folds down. Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't. Maybe it does. Very hard to tell from this picture if it has this one is only $25. So essentially it does the same thing for $25. So why spend 90 when you can spend 25? Or maybe you want the better quality from Garrett Wade. My inclination is I would go with the Garrett Wade one, unless I could look at them side by side and see some reason. But knowing that Garrett Wade is a quality manufacturer, but if you're on a budget, this still does the same job. So, all right, this is cool. A long time ago, I had a Royal Horticultural Society kneeling pad, and it was kidney shaped, and it had a strap on it, and it was beautiful. And it was about 2 inches thick, and it was flat and had like a green border around the edge, 2 inches high around the edge, and green back. And it had a zipper on the back that you could take the cover off and wash it. And it was my favorite kneeling pad of all time. It was just awesome. It was beautiful. You could keep it clean. It really was comfortable to kneel on. It was big enough. It had a handle to carry. And it burned with the fire. I remember exactly where it was hanging in the garage when the house burned down. I've never been able to find that one. This is also from the Royal Horticultural Society. And I have seen other patterns, one with birds on it. But I would say that they're probably very good quality. So you could go online and look for Royal Horticultural Society kneeling pad, and you will find this one as well as some of the others. And I know that they will be good quality. Now, this one I think says $25 for shipping, or $24.07. It might be coming from Europe. There are others that you can find that are available, more locally, but I'm sure these are good quality. But I have to say, if I was looking for a kneeling pad, of all the ones that I've seen, I like this one the best as a kneeling pad, as opposed to knee pads. But I thought this one reminded me the most of the one that I had that I liked so much, because it has that, 2-inch thickness and a handle to carry. And I would think that the cover comes off on this one, that it can be washed, which is nice. And if I was asking for one as a Christmas present, which I am not because I don't need one, but if I were, or if somebody else might be, this is the one that I would ask for because I just really like it. And again, it's from Regal Art and Craft Textiles, but the company is lightbulbs.com. Now, if you want me to explain why a kneeling pad comes from a company called lightbulbs.com, I'm sorry, I'm at a loss. I have no idea why Light Bulbs is supplying kneeling pads, but that's where I found this one. And I have to say, I fell in love with it. It's just lovely. Okay. So now let's go back to the discussion of why I got really mad and what I did about these pants. Let's go back to that slide. Yeah, there we go. Why this was the only thing that I could find for women. I don't like wearing men's pants. I am not shaped like a man. I'm not comfortable in men's pants. Maybe you can be, maybe other people don't mind, whatever. I called Women's Work, the company that makes work gloves for women and other tools designed for women. They do have some work gloves for men, but which they added in recent years, but they specialize in tools for women. And I so appreciate that because my husband buys tools and the tools that he buys, I generally can't use. They're too big. I mean, we had a wheelbarrow one time that had 2 wheels in front, this big, massive gray thing. And when it was full, I couldn't lift it. It was, I have to have a regular size wheelbarrow for me that I can, maneuver and use. I need tools that fit my abilities. I prefer smaller shovels. I prefer just smaller, lighter weight tools to get the job done. And I don't like men's tools, and I don't like wearing men's pants. I prefer pants that are designed to fit me. I don't think that's unreasonable. So I called them and I spoke to the woman and I explained who I was and what I did and what I was doing. And the woman I talked to got very excited. And I told her that this was a great thing, these pants with pockets for kneeling pads, but that I could not find suitable ones for women. And if they were out there, they were so hard to find that it was essentially unavailable. So I'm hoping that she said she was going to have the boss call me back. I have not heard from them since that conversation, but that's what I did. So I took action. I didn't like it and I took action, and maybe we can do something about it, because between the pink knee pads for cleaning house and the lack of pants designed to fit women with pockets for knee pads, I think that this whole area of manufacturing needs to be addressed and fought tooth and nail, because we should not be marginalized. We should not be treated as who does most of the gardening. I mean, yes, there are plenty of men gardeners, and that's great, and I encourage everybody. But in most families, who's out there planting the flowers? Really? I want knee pads in my pants. I want them. Okay. Okay, that was really exhausting. It was really upsetting. This really upset me. I'm not kidding. It really upset me. So, okay. So let me give the phone number again. Whew, okay. All right. The number is 888-399-7344. And we don't have any callers, right? Because there we go. Okay. So again, 399-7344. And we'll be here for another 20 minutes to answer questions. So if you're thinking about calling, now would be a good time. But we have some other things that we want to talk about, right? Okay, so you'll get a kick out of this. We have the video ready to go also. Oh, well, you got to find the video. All right, so we'll, there's a
You want to do something else?
Okay, yeah, let's do. All right, I really want to get the video going with this one. There's a video involved here, so let's find me another slideshow to do while you find the video that goes in. Okay. All right, let's do the propagating of the Mexican sunflowers. Mexican petunias. Okay, these were in the garden, and like a few other things this season, they did not bloom as prolifically as they have in the past. They I had propagated them and in the greenhouse, and the plants were healthy. I moved them out, and those and the popcorn plants, which in both cases in past years got enormous and covered with flowers. This Mexican petunia, it did produce a few flowers, and it was fairly robust looking, but not, it never made a lot of flowers. So I was very disappointed, but I did take cuttings next. Okay, so I went in there and took the cuttings, and you can see there's a few little flower stalks on there. And it's really important that when you take the cuttings, the bottom part of the cutting is where leaves had been. And so that's what you're seeing there, is that's the bottom of the cutting, and there's a leaf node in that spot. So that, and they root really easily in water. Can we have next slide, please? Okay, so I removed any of the flowering stalks because there were a few. A lot of the cuttings had flower buds emerging, and also took off most of the leaves. It's amazing, you know, they need very few leaves in order to survive and create roots. And then I just put them in a vase with all the cuttings together in one vase with water. All right, next. Okay, and this is them. It's, you know, easy peasy that you just put them in water and they root so readily. I have this vase is particularly useful for trying to root cuttings. It keeps the cuttings upright. It's tall and narrow. It works really well. I find if you have a really wide mouth, they tend to flop all over. Next. All right, and this is them. This is like a little area very close to the sink. The sink is just to the right of this, and this is like a little shelf over the drain board of the sink, and this is where I put everything in order to get roots. It does not get any direct sun, which is really kind of important because you don't want a lot of sun beating down on leaves that have no roots to take up moisture. So it's a good idea to take your cuttings that you're trying to root and put them in a place where it's bright light, but coolish, not too hot, and not a lot of direct sun. Next. And you can see how readily they generated roots. They're, you know, it doesn't take very long, and they are really easy to reproduce. So next. So this is what we did. I thought every cutting was, you know, pretty well rooted. I didn't lose any, which was nice. And so I got set up. These are plants that, you know, need to make it till spring, and then they'll go back in the ground. So I don't necessarily want to put them in clay pots because they're not going to live there forever. So this was a good way of using up some of my plastic pots. And again, if I have any extras, I want at least three or four for myself. But if I have any extras that survive, I will put them in the plant exchange, which means I don't necessarily want to put them in my best clay pots. Next. And of course, you want to put some little paper towel on the bottom. My dear friend Anne Marie, she uses empty tea bags. I believe in recycling. I'm not quite so detail oriented with recycling to save tea bags. They are the right texture though, you know, because you're supposed to be able to have water flow through the tea bags. You're supposed to be able to have water flow through the paper towel on the bottom without letting the soil fall through. So it works. And there they are. Look at all those nice little healthy roots. Okay, isn't that a good thing? All right, and that's what we started out with. Next. And we put one per pot, and you know, use fresh soil. And next. And here they are, looking quite perky. So I did get 5, which I'm sorry, 6. I got 6, and so I will probably have a couple to give away. All right, and let's take a look. I think there's one more slide. And there they are. This is on the what I call the nursery bench. And this is where things are that live there until, you know, they get well rooted. Again, bright light, but no direct sun. And it's in, you know, warm spot, but not hot. Works out pretty well. When you're trying to root things, you know, a little warmth on the bottom is good, but you don't want any warmth on the top, again, for the same reason. Until they get established, they don't have the ability to take up water as well as when they are established, of course. So you don't want the tops so hot that they lose water faster than they can pick it up. And then they drop all their leaves, and that's the end of that. So again, they're in kind of, it's warmish, not cold, but not near the heater and not in any direct sun. So I think that's the last slide. Is there one more? Nope. Yes? No? No, that's it. Okay. So I'm going to give the phone number again. It's 888-399-7344. So let's, we have any callers? What was that?
Philodendron?
Yeah, we can do the philodendrons. We're still waiting for the video to be loaded somehow. There was a miscommunication there. But I have all of these philodendrons, and philodendrons and pothoses, which are very close relative, make excellent houseplants. But there are so many interesting varieties out there. This one is called Macaulay's Finale. And the new growth that comes out on this is just vivid red, and the stems stay red. And this one is doing really, really well. It's a larger leafed variety. And some philodendrons will last for a really, really long time. I have a couple that are many, many years old. And but unfortunately, the ones that I've had forever, I don't necessarily know the variety names. But let's go on to the next one. This is one that I totally have no idea. It's very yellow. This one I picked up at the plant exchange, and this one actually, one of the guests was really interesting. She was interested in doing propagation via tissue culture, and she had these little plastic, almost greenhouse-like terrarium type things. And she had two plastic pots that were squarish, but tall and narrow. And she used one, when they were clear plastic, as the base, and she taped the other one upside down on top. And when I got this, it was only like a tiny leaf. It was definitely growing. It was definitely alive, and you could tell what it was, but it was minuscule. And I've had it, I think, a year and a half now. And this is, so it wasn't, I didn't get it at the plant exchange this past year. It was the year before that. And it's still really tiny, but it's healthy and it's really kind of cute. So next. And this is another picture of it also. And I'm wondering, you know, I did a little research online, and this could be the one that's called lemon lime. And you can find them if you look for lemon lime. Again, I'm not sure, hence the question mark on the screen. I'm not 100% sure that that's what it is, but that it looks likely. So, okay, so can we have the next slide, please? This one is called, and it's one of the monsteras. And I'm not even going to try to say that. Carstenianum, maybe. And I love this one. I really like the texture of the leaves. It seems to be growing without shedding its older leaves too quickly, because one of the problems with philodendrons is they grow and all the healthy growth is at the end of the vine, and you end up with a lot of bare stem. This one seems to be holding on to its leaves nicely. Next. And that's a close-up of the leaf. And I like that it sort of has a little bit of dimension to it, a little bit three-dimensional, but I also like that you can see the dark pattern in the leaf a little bit, that it sort of has a dark venation in it. I think it's really attractive and really rich dark green. So next. All right, this one is technically a pothos, again, a close relative. I have to say these are cuttings. These are the common name of this one is satin pothos, and all the pothos are Syndapsis. Syndapsis. This one is Syndapsis pictus. And I love this, but this is one of those that tends to get really leggy, and the healthy, beautiful growth is at the end of long vines. And some people will just wrap the vines around, and then you end up with 3 miles of naked vine with 18 inches, if you're lucky, of leaves at the end. And I really try not to do that. What I try to do is cut them and then cut them back to just a node or two at the base and have them resprout. And then when the cuttings root, you can stick them back into the pot. I prefer that approach. I think that's better. Next. This is, I don't know what one this is. This is a really interesting, it looks similar to the first one that I showed you, Macaulay's, I don't remember, Macaulay something. But the leaves are much narrower, but it has that same red, orange new growth and the red stems. This one has been growing slow and steady for the last couple of years. And again, if you see an interesting philodendron, grab it. Okay, next. This is Cebu Blue. I hate this one. This is one of those ones, it's supposed to be, you know, a great variety. I can never get it to look really full. I mean, it grows that's in the greenhouse, and it just always looks scrawny. Maybe somebody has a great one. I'd like to see it if somebody has a great one, but this one is, and it's supposed to be, you know, kind of famous for being this great variety, but I don't see it. And Jordan says she's tried it too, and she hasn't been able to get it to look gorgeous either. It's acceptable in the greenhouse. I kind of like how I have it hanging in that was an egg basket, but I didn't really like it as an egg basket because it was hard metal, and the eggs tended to crack too often when I put them in there. So I now use a much softer basket, you know, wicker type basket, but I think it looks kind of cool to have the plant growing over the top of that. This is Brazil heartleaf philodendron, or Brazil heartleaf philodendron, and I love this one. I think the variegated foliage is beautiful. It seems to be hanging in there. Doesn't seem to be getting too leggy. It's still a young plant. We'll see how it does, but I think the foliage is absolutely gorgeous. Next. This one really gets complicated with the names. I hate when you run into multiple botanical names for the same plant. I mean, botanical names are supposed to be the thing that keeps everything straight, but if they keep changing the botanical names, and how is the world supposed to know when some people that decide they're some sort of authority officially changes the name, and then I don't even know who decides who officially makes the name, but it gets out in the literature, the same plant under multiple names. It really complicates things. So this one is called Monstera minima, and it's like a cut leaf sort of philodendron-like plant. Monsteras are very closely related to philodendrons. Or Rhaphodora tetrasperma. Common name is mini monstera. I like that. I like Monstera minima, but you can find it under both names. I think this is a nice plant. It's interesting. It hasn't gotten too leggy yet, which makes me happy. So if you come across one of these, I would recommend them. All right, this one I have had forever. That's Jordan helping me out with the photography here. It has leaves at the pot. It has these long dangling viney-like things. The leaves are pretty large. Philodendron erubescens, blushing philodendron. It has these really cool air roots. It must be in an epiphytic or wherever it grows naturally. I've had this thing 30 years. I've had it forever. The cuttings root easily. If you cut it way back, it sends up new shoots from the base. It's not the most beautiful plant I own, but it's kind of near and dear to my heart. So we'll get to that. All right, next.
That's it.
That's the last one. Good, because all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of phone calls. So can we go and talk to Danny from Metuchen next? Danny girl, are you with us? Danny?
Good morning, Peggy. How are you?
I'm good. Did you see all my knee pads?
Yes, you are wonderful. You would just take everything above and beyond. It's amazing. I just have to tell you, the one I bought was like $199 or $299.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would take a picture and send it to you to show you. But,
Okay.
you know,
But
you give people a lot of options.
yes, I gave people a lot of options, but I got really mad twice. I mean, really mad twice. Those pink ones for a house
I'm
cleaning.
with you 100% time. Yes.
That was infuriating. House cleaning. Like I'm going to wear knee pads to clean the house.
It had a roof in it, too.
It was just, and then those were the only pants for women to put the knee pads in. Really, Danny, I was livid. I was livid when I was like, I spent like an hour and a half searching, trying to find pants for women. I even called the Duluth company. I called the Duluth company that had the overalls, and they said those were the only ones that they had, and they're out of stock. I swear to God, they said they're out of stock.
That is not good.
No, it's not. It's not good at all. So
I hope you could get some response from the women's work.
I hope so too. It would be right up their alley to produce something like that. And I really like
maybe not right away. Right.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't be instantaneous, but it is something that maybe does seem to fit with their line of merchandise really well. And if I found them, I would buy them. I think that having them could be really useful. You know, you could put the pads in when you need them, and then you could still wear them as work pants without the pads if you don't need them. And I'm always looking for. I don't like to wear skinny jeans in the garden, and maybe now that skinny jeans are less fashionable and the more regular jeans are coming back in, but I used to for many years just wear jeans in the garden. And, you have a nice pair of jeans and then they become an old pair of jeans and then they become gardening jeans. Can't do that with skinny jeans. They're not comfortable to work in the garden. So the whole, downgrading of your jeans is not working with this fashion trend. So I'm always looking for good work pants that I can buy that are functional, that have the pockets like the jeans. And sometimes I can find old beat up baggy ones at a thrift store, but for work pants that were really good, and I would pay real money for them. So if they're out there, I'll buy them, but they're not out there.
Hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed. And then as you discuss this more, they will probably listen to you.
I hope so. I will keep my audience posted as to what's going on with these things, because we're going to start a movement.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm with you.
Okay. We're a team. Women power. Okay.
For you.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. My question for you today is, as I was putting Christmas lights on in my backyard, I broke down 2 branches of my pathetic looking rhododendron. So knowing me, I can't just throw them out in my compost bin. So right now they're in the jar, water vase with water in there. What are the chances for them to survive and root?
Not in water. Okay, so
not in water.
No, not in water. Now with rhododendrons, you want to take a relatively short cutting, and you want to use a rooting hormone. And what I have seen done, although I've never done it, what I have seen done with rhododendrons is you leave a few leaves on at the tip, but you cut them in half. You might want to go online and try to look for this approach, but you use a rooting hormone, you use a sterile medium, and if you could provide a little bit of bottom heat, that would be good too. I don't know if you have any of those heat mats. but a little bit of bottom
I
heat.
do. Yeah.
Okay, then I would do that. You might want to. This might be a perfect thing to do in your sunroom because you keep that cool.
Okay.
Now remember, rhododendrons are outside plants, so they can take the cool. But you could use the heat mat for the bottom and have the cool temperature on top. Might be perfect. But the idea
Okay.
is,
I will look it up. Yes. Okay.
but the idea of cutting the leaves is that they have a significant water demand, and if you cut the leaves in half, it reduces the water demand on the cutting that has no roots. That's the idea.
Understand. Okay.
So I would
I'll give it a
look it up
try.
and get
Yeah.
the specific details. But if it was me, that's the approach I would pursue.
Okay.
And let me know how it
Sounds good.
goes.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'll
Thank
tell
you.
I'll tell you. I had a similar, not exactly the same experience last night at about 11 o'clock. That I went out to walk the dogs out in the backyard, and somebody had been digging by my akuba, and laying on the ground. And I will show pictures of this next week. Laying on the ground was a whole hunk of akuba with the roots. It just
Wow.
appeared. I don't know how that happened,
Wow.
but what it looked like was it had layered itself. You know how when the branches grow and then they touch the ground, you can pin them to the ground, and sometimes, well, it looks like it did that by itself. And that's what was removed, is something that had been touching the ground and on its own produced roots. And probably the big dog went in there and jumped on the bush and snapped it off, and it came out with the roots. So
Right.
I
right.
potted it up at 11 o'clock last night. I went in the greenhouse, I turned the lights on, and I potted it up, and we'll see if it makes it. But sometimes things happen. And
I know. And at least your piece had roots.
It
Mine
did.
just
Yes.
didn't. Right.
But it was so
So-
weird to see it laying there with roots. It was really pretty weird. So, but I could have thrown it on the compost pile. You could have thrown yours on the compost pile. Instead, we propagated. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be an addiction. Is that a disease? I mean, I've seen this t-shirt.
It is.
I've seen this t-shirt that I think somebody needs to buy me at some point down the road that says, "It's not hoarding if it's plants." So I think I need to have that.
Oh.
So, all right, my dear. Is there anything else I can do for you? I've got, oh no, I had Chris, but he disappeared. So Chris, call back. We'll get you on the air first. And then I've got Mary from Warren. So let me get to that. And oh my God, it's already 11 o'clock. So I don't want to not chat with these people. So let me get to it.
Alrighty. Have a great day. Enjoy your daughter's visit and lots of lockups.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. All right. Bye-bye. Let's go
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Mary from Warren. Chris, call back. Mary, how you doing today? Mary?
Confession to make. I'm one of those people who takes that pesos and winds it around and winds it around and winds it around.
Right.
So now I'm thinking in the spring I need to just really cut it back.
I agree. I think, unwind it all the way, miles and miles of unwinding. Take the cutting at the end and root it. And you may have a couple at the end. And then at the base of the pot, you want to leave 2 to 3 nodes of bare stem for them to, regenerate. And you may want to, just for the overall well-being, not do all the cuttings on the same day. Maybe leave one that's long if possible. If there's only one, obviously you have to cut it. But if you could leave one to just continue to photosynthesize and nourish the root system for a little while. And then when you see new growth coming from the stumps of what you removed, then you can take the last one. Did that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That does. And now should I wait to the spring for that?
February, on that day in February when everybody notices the change, when you're having your cup of tea and you're looking out the window and you say to yourself, wow, the sun feels really strong. That's so nice. That's kind of the day.
Okay, that works. And one other, just a really quick thing. You were talking about all the different philodendrons, and I started to think about my Christmas cactus. My sister just gave me a Christmas cactus that is red, not the flowers, the actual branches of the cactus are red. I had never seen that before.
Has it always been red?
As long as she's had it, yes. And I don't. She just gave it to me last week.
How long did she have it?
I'm really not sure.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
it's a red foliage variety, because there's a gazillion varieties of everything, and people are always making new varieties and finding, something has spontaneously mutated or changed or sent out a shoot that was different from the rest. And so maybe it's truly a red leafed variety, but they also turn red when they're under water stress.
Oh, okay.
Right. So,
I will make sure that it gets enough water here, and I'll call her and tell her too, just to double check that.
Right. So, I have no way of knowing from your description what it is, but they definitely can turn red, and they also start to get wrinkly, but that's like further down the line. But when they're deteriorated more, but red, they can turn red at the first signs of being under water stress. So I just, you're going to have to figure it out for sure. I have no way of knowing for sure which it is, but
okay, I'll check it out and be careful with it.
Okay.
Because my other Christmas cactuses are beautiful right now.
I have several blooming, and they make me smile. They make me smile. I like anything that makes me smile, so that's a good thing. And they definitely make me smile.
Definitely. So, but alrighty. I hope Chris calls back.
Yeah, he's on. He's on hold, so we'll get to him next.
Oh, good.
So, anything else I can do for you?
Pick Chris up.
All right. You have a great day. Thanks for calling. Bye bye now. Okay, Chris, are you with us?
Hi, Peggy. I did call. I did call back. I thought you had too many callers.
Well,
so that's why I hung up.
I appreciate that, but this is the magic of doing this upstairs in what's essentially was my sewing room, because there's no hard end. I don't have another show or a news story coming up or commercial. It's just whenever I feel like ending, and I would never want to end by missing a call from you ever.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just wanted to follow up. Last week I called about the spider mites on the sweet potato plants. I did try your suggestion about putting the foil around the pots and like spraying them and dunking them in soapy water. So round one is already completed. I know you said we needed to repeat this periodically. So I still have the foil around the plants, so I'm ready to do that. But thank you. I greatly appreciate the idea.
And it seemed to work, or at least initially work?
It seemed to. I mean, all of the webbing is gone. Time will tell how well the leaves grow back. And at this point, they definitely look better than they did before I started that. So it was definitely a good suggestion.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad that's working for you. Is there anything else?
Yeah, just in the not in the spirit of bragging, but just in the spirit of sharing information.
Oh, Chris, you can brag a little bit. Bragging is definitely allowed. Bragging is definitely allowed. No question. Okay,
I
go
don't know. I mean, I personally like to try to, inspire people. So it's not that I'm better than anybody else, but it's, just something to shoot for the future. But I remember last year there was a caller or two who was talking about having late tomatoes ripening in the house, and at this point we ate some Paul Robeson tomatoes yesterday, and we still have a few that were left. So they were in good condition. They were physically sound. We kept a good watch on them. Not all of them ripened as well as the others, so we sort of picked whatever looked like they were going bad. But these were just in a basic paper bag in the basement, about 60 degrees, and They were good, not as flavorful as mid July or August, but it was certainly better than anything you could buy at this point. So, just to pass that on.
Well, never argue with success, right? Never argue with success. And again, I can't ever picture you bragging, but seriously, it's fun when something really works out, and it's so much more fun when you can share it. And everybody deserves a pat on the back once in a while, and that's a good thing, and it's not that you're better, or that anyone that's expressing a success story is better than anybody else. It's sharing, it's a community, and you're a big part of it. So I want to hear all your success stories, always. And
well, I appreciate that. I remember last year, one of your callers, I think it was Bob from Piscataway, was had tomatoes like well into December, and it was sort of like, wow, that's something to shoot for. So he inspired me. So again, as you said, it's just sort of like I don't know, iron sharpens iron. We're just trying to do the best we can.
That's all we can do. That's me too. I'm just doing the best I can, and with the support of this little community that we have. So it takes a village, I guess, but it's all good. So I'm happy for you. Is there anything else? But where's my mushroom pictures? Come on, Chris. Where's my mushroom pictures?
Oh God! Listen, that took a village too. I have a plan. I tried mightily. Your husband is Tommy. I have a son in my life named Tommy who's very good with IT stuff, and I did not succeed in sending the mushroom pictures. I have a plan, a low-tech plan, and let's see if it happens by next week.
Okay, well, I'm excited. I definitely want to see this. This is big stuff here. So definitely want to see that.
Absolutely. And just like a peripheral kind of a thing, a couple of years ago, I bought something. It was like a mouse killer. I had a lot of, it's like a poisonous bait. I had a lot of problems with voles in the vegetable garden. I pretty much, I had a big sweet potato crop, and they pretty much decimated everything. I decided that, the mouse killer was not such a good idea. I was going to return it to the place that I bought it. I was going to find other alternatives. And son of a gun, I found mouse droppings, and half of the bag of the mouse killer was eaten away in the basement. So if you want, I've been protecting seeds. I never thought I would need to protect poisons, but just to pass that along, I guess whatever is in the ingredients, it was like enticing to mice, so they did chew through the bag. Noticed a few odd smells in the basement, but it is what it is. So with not a pleasant thought, but
I guess it must really draw the mice that they would eat through the bag to eat the poison. That's not what one would expect to happen for sure. So okay, well, we will keep that in mind.
Mouse droppings, and it is what it is. So.
All right, Chris, you have a good week. I'm looking forward to getting those mushroom pictures, and we will talk again next week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye now. All right, now before we end for the day, once again, Rob F., and I have no idea who that is, has chatted. Good morning. So good morning to Rob. And my dear friend Nancy from Somerset says she loves the discussion about knee pads, and she's thinking about sewing pockets onto the knee area of her work pants. Now, that's an idea I hadn't come up with. I think unless you have a special kind of sewing machine that has an arm, you might have to do it by hand, because how would you get the leg all the way up there? There are sewing machines that have arms that are skinny that you could do that with. And she was a home ec teacher, so she may have one. But I don't have that kind of sewing machine. But that is a scathingly brilliant idea, Nancy. So thanks for sharing. I will be here next week, same time, same place. The afternoon, I was spending today baking cookies. So if I put on 5 pounds between now and next week, you'll have to forgive me. But until then, have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye.